Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades. We are here back again. Well, I'm here back again to try to get this live going. Aye, aye. Oh, I'm so excited. Anyway, this life is so funny. But anyway, guys, I won't waste your time. Let me get to it. Let me start with the formalities. If it's your first time here and you're wondering what this channel is all about, my name is Kenyan Revolutionary. I bring you Kenyan news and international news as it relates to Kenya. And I'm talking about politics. I'm your political dietitian. So karibu sana, so I can give you the nutrients, political nutrients that you need to help you in your daily life, okay? But karibuni sana. So if it's your first time, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, okay? And like the video and do all the good stuff. And if you're a returning member, you already subscribed and all that, please, you know the first order of business, right? The first order of business is to do what? Is to like the video, all right? Like, share, subscribe, comment, and do all the good stuff. Actually, if you want to get in, I will get you in so you can give your 2 cents also on the issues at hand that's going on in Kenya. It's morning, wherever I am. I'm drinking coffee. I'm doing good. It's kind of, breezy. I feel like Wamunyoro taking a morning walk. But anyway, let's get to it. I want to touch on different subjects. There's a lot has been happening. We saw what happened over this past weekend with the Matiangi's homecoming in Kisii. I'll give you my view on that, where everybody's excited. They were like, "Oh yeah, Matiangi, whatever." I think it was on Friday or Saturday when he went to, he had that homecoming. Then the next day there was a Shabana versus Gor Mahia game that ended in violence. Basically, there are people still throwing stones at each other, whatever, to the fan base, which had there's speculation that it had something to do with the political aspect of it, because Shabana is kind of like the Kisii guys with Matiangi fans, and Gor Mahia, are viewed as the Luos, and they are like Raila fans, whatever the case is. But that's not something I will touch on, okay? People Kaur, I see you. Karibu sana. Nice seeing you, my friend. But anyway, then we shall talk briefly about Wamunyoro's, continuing his shtick with this whole, the Martha Karuas, Wamalwa, and all this. They met somewhere in, I don't know where it was. And even Matiangi joined them, okay? And they had a heroic welcome to Wamunyoro, whatever the case they were. But I will talk about that too. Then I want to also mention Gladys Wanga. Gladys Wanga was passing out. She was out there. Yeah. Well, she was speaking at Ongodo Were, the guy that got gunned down last week or something. She was speaking at that funeral, and what she said is what was a lot of people found startling. And I'll get to that too, okay? So, karibuni sana. Just grab some popcorn, get yourself a seat, have a seat. I won't keep you long because I have things to do. Today is a really busy day for me. I've been busy, so I got stuff to do, okay? But I will get this off my chest for those of you who care about my view, okay? And your view too, all right? I will talk about this stuff. Let me start with Frederick. Is it Frederick or Fred Matiangi or Kongo, whatever his name is? That Idi Amin looking ass. Frederick Matiangi. Let me just start with Matiangi. So there was this media hype about Matiangi for his comeback, all right? A few days ago. Shina kuona, karibu sana. Usininyime weka like. Guys, do not waste, the first order of business. Please. Let me not remind you, but I will remind you because I care about you. So go ahead and like the video, okay? And if you want to get to the studio, let me know. I'll bring you to the studio and you can give me your 2 cents. Amani. But anyway, let me just get this off my chest before I even open it up for anyone who might want to come in. I just want to give my view, then we'll see how it goes, okay? So anyway, Matiangi. I'll start with Matiangi. I will get with Ruto's Mashuja movement, that shoe hitting him. We'll get to that in a minute, okay? So Matiangi, let's start with Frederick Matiangi, who is being, sold to the public as this, reformist. He's fresh off New York or whatever the case is, UN, He used to, not UN, but World Bank. He came back, so to speak. I'm still going to check on that, okay? Because remember, what's that Kisi leader told the people that Fredo. Let me reverse. I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry, guys. Let me get it together. Before Fred Matiangi, came back to Kenya. Of course, he had been in Kenya before, but before his so-called homecoming, Onyonka told us that Fred Matiangi called him from Latin America somewhere because he was working for World Bank. Now, I'm going to call World Bank just to confirm this. I have their HR number. It's a New York number. Their headquarters in New York. So I will call and just make sure this guy worked for World Bank. I don't believe him. But if he does work for World Bank, that's already a red flag. Let me tell you why it's a red flag. Remember when I keep on telling you guys about this book by John Perkins, the ex-CIA guy who worked for World Bank, and he was actually selling loans to different Latin American countries, okay, and African countries, basically. Remember him? Okay, remember him? So this guy, I wish I had my laptop. I will play some clips that he's talked about it. So basically, World Bank, John Perkins, well, he was working for World Bank. He was the guy who was basically giving this head of states these ultimatums. He would sit down with them and tell them, hey, listen, Mr. So-and-so, Mr. President, this is the deal I'm going to give you. Your country have to borrow an X amount of money, okay? I don't care if you want to eat 90% or 50% of the money, you just take it, but your country will be in debt for the next 30 years. Meanwhile, while you guys are in debt, we are going to tell you what corporations, okay, multinational corporations, these big McDonald's, Coca-Cola, all that, you shall have to let them operate in your country, okay? They'll have the fast priority as far as the business dealings with your country, okay? So those are the kind of loans that they were taking. So what I'm trying to say, if indeed Matiangi was working for World Bank, I'm saying that's already a red flag, because especially if he was working in Latin America, okay? I haven't confirmed that. I will try to confirm. I'll do my journalistic, due diligence to find out if Matiangi really worked for World Bank. But let's skip that. Let's just go by what the media is telling us. Matiangi came back to, he made a round in Abagusi area, Kisi. I don't know if you went to Nyamira, all that. But that's not the news. The news was actually the kind of reception he received when he came back, right? And we could see even the day before he came to, he made his way, but he had made his little tour in all these Kisi towns, okay, Abagusi town, okay. There were people who were already there in the stadium the night before the homecoming, okay, the night before the D-Day. There were people who were already there waiting for Matiangi for his, arrival, or whatever the case is, right? So the D-Day comes and Matiangi comes in, a heroic welcome. It was like Jesus walking to Jerusalem in a donkey or something. But in this case, it was Matiangi on the top of the roof, and people on Shangilia, the stadium. I don't know, I forgot that stadium, the name of that stadium. I don't know what they call it. It was packed to the brim. I don't know what capacity, I don't know that it can hold, but there was a bunch of people and all that stuff. But the first thing that Simba Arati, when he was given the mic to speak, he told, of course, acknowledged the dignitaries that were there. And Simba Arati said, this is organic, Bwana Matiangi. Usijali, we did not ship people. We did not pay people. This is organic. And after that, everyone is running with this whole narrative that it was an organic, people, the reception that Matiangi got. The number of people who showed up in that whatever was, organic. People were just happy to see him. And the media ran with it, okay? And I could see people who are giving their views on different platforms saying, yeah, it was organic. And I was sitting there just laughing and saying, I mean, how gullible people. First of all, okay, all right. Let's assume it's organic. People are excited to see Matiangi, okay? Now, let's give it one fact. Yes, Matiangi is a big name in around Abagusi community, okay? He's their son, so to speak, whatever the case is, all right? So people will show up. But to me, the number one thing is, if something is organic, if something is, if people are not paid to show up, if people naturally came out and showed up, they were happy to see, Matiangi, why did Simba Arati feel the need of telling people that this is organic? That's number one. To me, I always find it, I told you, I do not believe anyone. I'm suspicious of everything, okay? If something is organic, why do you have to tell us that it's organic? Why do you feel the need to tell the public that this was natural? People just showed up because they have love for Matiangi, okay? Second of all, second question that I have for that, the reason why I'm raising my suspicion, I have my own suspicion, and that's just me. I question everything, okay? Second of all, Matiangi, this is not the first time Matiangi has actually come out and addressed the public in Abagusi area since he came back from his so-called World Bank job overseas. This is not the first time, okay? And he never quite got this reception, okay? He never quite got this reception. So what was so special about this? Like, why were people so excited to the point where they had to spend the night in that stadium? Is it Shabana Stadium? I don't know what they call that stadium, that famous stadium that he was addressing the public, where the whole meeting was taking place. What was so big? What was the big deal to a point where people had to wait and spend overnight waiting for Matiangi to come address them? Of all the days, this guy had been back in Kenya as far as last year or 6 months ago, whatever the case is, and addressed the public. I mean, the enthusiasm wasn't the same. So what was so special about this time when he came by and people had to actually flock the Shabana Stadium and spend the night there waiting for him to come the next day to address them? What was the whole big deal? Okay, I get it. It's homecoming. He's been around. But why was this so special this time, to a point where they had to wait for him, spend overnight to wait for him? See what I'm saying? Then you had the need to tell us it's organic. Why? Okay? Again, there are some people who are saying some of the crowd, members of that crowd, were actually shipped from other parts of the country. Okay? And that explains why some of them spent the night at Shabana Stadium overnight. Because it doesn't make sense. It does not make sense for people who are from that region to leave their homes and spend the night in the stadium to wait for Matiangi to come in. Okay? Then, to follow up with that, the third clue that tells me that this thing was orchestrated, planned, designed to kind of give people a certain narrative, was that as after all that whole thing and all that crowd and Matiangi declaring his candidature, the narrative was quickly, oh, Matiangi captures the country's attention. Okay? It's obvious. Matiangi now is a formidable candidate who will take out Ruto. He has captured the attention of the whole country. And I was like, all right, okay. You know what I personally think? This was all just a scripted move to introduce Matiangi. Okay? Not only to introduce him, but you remember when I told you some weeks before in my previous videos where I said the political class always, they always give you a binary choice. Okay? Both sides of the same coin. You have two sides to choose, the tail or the head, but it's the same animal or the same coin. See what I'm saying? Okay? Mnapewa Ruto ama Matiangi. That's why you see all these nitwits, pinheads, meeting at Wamunyoro's house, whatever the case is, after that, with the Martha Karuas, Matiangi, Wamalwa, Kalonzo Musyoka. Those are the same alternatives, and they're shameless. They're basically trying to tell Kenyans that, hey, Kenyans, listen, Wakenya, you have only two choices. It's either you go with Ruto, who we know you do not like, okay? Or if you want something a little bit better than Ruto, we have Matiangi, or we have the Martha Karuas, or we have Kalonzo, who are just as bad as Ruto, who are not, if not worse. They are in the same WhatsApp group. Okay? Okay. A little fun fact that I want to throw out there, okay? I know a lot of people know, some people say that Matiangi is a Uhuru Kenyatta project. I can see why they say that, okay? But let me tell you something. I've been saying this all for the longest, okay? Again, if you know, you know. This is a whole, the political class, it's the same script. These guys operate the same. They are in one WhatsApp group. Let me, Mabri, I see you. If you want to come in, I will put the link. Let me know, Mabri. If you want me to put you in, I'll put the link so you can give me your view. I really want to hear your view. I know you're a top shotter, okay? So I hope you're doing well wherever you are. But nice seeing you. You're saying, let me read Mabri's comment real quick. Mabri is saying, oh crap. Yeah, he's saying, I'm here. Vindicates on two occasions. Jeshi kuua watu parliament and story ya hostility kwa ground. Ruto has been ignoring security protocol and he will suffer for it. Imagine if that was a bullet. All right. But it's not good shoe throwing to Ruto, even if he's not been liked by some Kenyans. So the question is, was that shoe thrown at him or was it an accident? Because there's some people who are saying that that shoe was meant for somebody else, but it flew in his direction. I don't know how true that is. But let me put the link here so in case Mabri wants to get in and tell us something about all that's happening, we shall bring him in. And anybody else really who wants to come in and give us their view on this matter. Okay? Now, an interesting fact that I really kind of caught my eye, I kind of talked about it a little bit. I didn't talk about it. I just mentioned it a few videos ago. I mentioned the fact that, you remember Joey? That Joey guy who killed the businesswoman, Ule de Malkwa, the girl who had a business in Sudan. He had a boyfriend in Sudan, and she was a business lady, and she got killed by Joey. And Joey, remember Joey's case was Joey Maribe or something like that, okay? And Joey was sentenced to death or something like that. You remember him? Okay. So apparently it is said that Joey has been pardoned by Ruto, okay? Now, let me tell you something. If you remember, let me tell you something. If you remember, Joey's case, if you go deep into it, there's a news article that is buried into the, the heap pile of internet scrolls, okay? That actually gives a background of really who the real killer of that lady that Joey was accused of killing. The real killer is said to have been Mo, Uhuru Kenyatta's nephew. Is said that is the real killer who killed that girl. But once he killed that girl, he called Joey to come do what? To clean up the mess. Basically, Joey took the case for Muhoho, who they called Mo. All right? So Joey was actually being protected, as you know, in Kenya, if you're connected to the, to the higher ups, whatever you do, you're not going to do jail time. So even though Joey was sentenced to death, to jail or life in prison or something like that, okay? He never actually went to jail. I mean, Cairo, you remember the Cairo guy? That guy is connected, he's best friends with Ruto's son, okay? I guess he has scammed people in his business, car selling business, and he's supposed to be in jail, but he's actually partying somewhere, whatever the case is. He's living his best life. Babu Owino shot somebody on, we saw that when he shot somebody on camera. He's living his best life. So if you're connected to the higher ups, you don't get to do time. So anyway, Joey is pardoned. He said that he was pardoned by Ruto. Why do you think that is? Like I said, the real killer was Muhoho, the nephew, Uhuru Kenyatta's nephew. Not the brother. There's also a brother Uhuru's brother who's called Muhoho. I think it's his older brother, but there's a nephew of Uhuru Kenyatta's nephew who's called Muhoho or something. Okay, who is also named Muhoho. And like I said, he is said to have actually done the killing, but he called Joey to actually clean up the mess. And Joey took the case for him, to cover him. That's why Joey was never worried about the death penalty or doing time. Okay? Nice seeing you, Muganda. Nice seeing you. Nice seeing you. The first order of business, right? I hope you're doing well in Uganda. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Go ahead and hit the like button, share, subscribe, and do all that good stuff. So anyway, I digress. So, like I said, I gave you 3 reasons why I think Matiangi's homecoming was nothing but a well-orchestrated, paid for, scripted, public gathering to create a narrative that Matiangi is a well and able opposition to Ruto, which creates the binary choice that what? That the political class is presenting to the people. The same nonsense they were telling us in 2022. We had Raila Odinga and Ruto. Since Raila Odinga, let me just give you a clear perspective on what's happening here, of what happened in 2022, and they're trying to do it again in 2026 or 2027, whenever we're going to have this election. In 2022, okay, Uhuru Kenyatta was so unpopular because of the same things Ruto is doing right now. Extrajudicial killings, not caring about the constitution, gunning down the youth, a tanking economy, rampant corruption, tribalism, nepotism, okay? All of that. Everyone was tired of Uhuru Kenyatta. That's why people are saying Maliza Uwende. So when Raila went and sanitized him after the handshake, okay, Ruto, through that fake beef with Uhuru Kenyatta, Ruto was doing what Wamunyoro is doing now, the same script. He tried to extricate himself from the two to present himself as the what? The alternative, the opposition, the guy that will actually deliver for Kenyans, the working class Kenyans. And he rightfully, he coined the term dynasty versus what? The hustlers. The hustlers was to try to identify himself with the downtrodden. downtrodden. While the dynasties was the children of the forefathers, the rich Oginga Odinga and Kenyatta family. And so the public were duped into thinking, afadhali, we choose the lesser evil. But what the public failed to understand is that we were actually presented with a choice of two sides of the same coin. Whether it was Uhuru and Raila versus Ruto, whichever choice you choose, is still the same political oligarch that have the same interest of looting the country dry and enjoying the resources and reporting, doing the bidding for their Western colonial masters. So the same script is also being used again in 2026, 2027, whenever we are going to in the next electioneering year. We have Ruto, who the public hates at this point. He's the bad guy. But what is the alternative that they're pushing through? There's a media barrage into your conscience, trying to convince you that the only strong person that can take on Ruto is Matiangi. And so they had to orchestrate this theater of unemployed youth, pay them pittance to show up, dance, drink, shout, as if they're enthusiastic about Matiangi's candidature, and present that image to the Kenyan people to convince them that, hey, here we are. We have somebody who is a no-nonsense guy called Fred Matiangi, who is competent enough, strong personality, who can take on Ruto head on. And what you fail to understand, for you gullible people, is that Matiangi is in the same WhatsApp group with Ruto. These people are not enemies, they're the same. How many corrupt cases has Matiangi have? Land grabbing cases that Matiangi has. Okay? Cases of what? Failure to follow court orders. This guy does not care about the Constitution. But look at how they're playing you. They're trying to convince you by highlighting Matiangi's bucolic, atavistic, rural, backwards behavior. Oh, he's a bold, brave guy. And his physical stature, Idi Amin looking, fat cheeks, broad shoulders, fat stomach, wide forehead, gives the aura of a quintessential African dictator, Idi Amin. And they try to convince you that that's the guy. He's the guy to take on Ruto. Because they know, personality-wise, if you look at what we have besides Matiangi, personality-wise, nobody can match up Ruto. Kalonzo is too timid. Eugene Wamalwa looks like a transgender. Some people call him Eunice. Kioni looks like Maidunda. Go look at Maidunda. He was a comedian from the 80s. A comedian. Martha Karua looks like a joyrider who's just happy to take pictures and be on the limelight. Okay? Natembea looks like a watchman who's happy to have an audience. Who else do you have? So Matiangi fits the bill. A short, fat, built, that is abrasive and aggressive. Personality-wise, he can take on Ruto. That is what they're selling you. I was so glad I saw Eric in that Fix the Nation program, and they were discussing this. They were like, Kenyans, if you tell them that some of these people that are presented as candidates have the worst record, worst human rights records, worst corruption record, worst records when it comes to impunity. But why do people buy into this nonsense? It's because they tell you, huyo jamaa ukimwona, yeye ndio sasa, akona pesa na akona hiyo arrogance. That is what actually attracts imbeciles that buy into this Matiangi narrative. You don't look at what really counts. Someone who has actively, historically fought for the rights of Kenyans. Consistently, not when it matters, not when it's convenient for them, like Martha Karua, who pretends to be fighting for the rights of Kenyans when it benefits her. Now that Kibaki kicked her out of the of government, she pretends now she's this great human rights lady going to Uganda to pretend that she's fighting for Basije. Poking a nose in Tanzanian politics because she's trying to create this resume that she's a human rights defender, while we know she's a pretender from the days of Kibaki, when she had an opportunity to show the country that she was actually a patriot. That's why fake people like Martha Karua should not be tolerated. Fake people like Matiangi should be exposed. You heard her at JKIL when she referred to Ruto as a brother. What does that tell you? All of them are in one WhatsApp group, but they're pretending, like I say, they have to lie to the masses that they are actually indifferent, like they are different from each other. They have their own political difference, but there's no political difference. Their aim is to make sure that the interest of their political oligarchs class is maintained. It cannot go to an outsider who will actually prosecute them and send them to committee for the crimes that they've committed against poor Kenyans. Because they are the very reason why we are where we are economically and politically. That is what they want. So they've sat down and saw that Matiangi fits the bill. Anyone, I challenge anyone to tell me, what does Matiangi bring? What qualifies Matiangi to be a real leader that can transform Kenya? I've told you about the Ruaraka land that he grabbed. I've told you about the court orders that he refused to obey. Okay? I've told you about those two things. And I've also told you about the... Oh, that's mine. Oh, that's fine. That's fine. It's all right. Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. No problem. I'll get another one. Yeah. But yeah, like I say, I've told you guys about the bodies in Rivayala. Bodies in Rivayala. Atrocities that he committed. What difference that Matiangi, what difference? Tell me the difference between Matiangi and Ruto. A real difference. They're both land grabbers. They both killed people involved in them indirectly. They're both involved in corruption. And they're both dictator. They have dictatorial tendencies. What difference does it make? What difference do you have between the two? Zero. And they're in the same WhatsApp group. I told you this. Remember when Matiangi was in Uhuru's government? Everyone was saying that Matiangi was mistreating Ruto. So mnakumbuka when Matiangi told Matiangi denied Ruto from access from flying out of the country. Remember that? When Ruto took over power, why didn't Ruto prosecute Matiangi if Matiangi, knowing that Matiangi has been involved in the Rivaliala saga, the shooting down of people, the Ruaraka corruption, the orders, the court orders that Matiangi hasn't followed? Why hasn't Ruto? I know it's not Ruto's job to actually prosecute a court case that is going on, but he has the power to make things happen. That's why I challenge you guys. But enough of Matiangi. That's why I'm saying this whole homecoming thing is a myth. The whole homecoming thing was designed to fool people into thinking that this is a formidable opponent. No, don't worry about it. Don't worry. No. You know what? It's okay. It's okay. No, I keep it. You don't have to pay. No, you're okay. You're okay. I'm not mad about it. It's I'll go. No.
All the time, everywhere.
I understand. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's $2 a QT. I'll go get another one. Don't worry about it. You're good. You're good. Yeah. So guys, sorry about that, guys. I was having a discussion with my friend. So, like I was saying, yeah. So, like I was saying, there's no difference between Matiangi. So you have to really use your head when you are actually looking at what's happened. Okay, you have to see what's happening, how you're being played by this whole Matiangi thing. Now, let's shift away from Matiangi because we know he's a puppet. Okay, like I said, just to finish on Matiangi real quick before I go into it, I've spent a lot of time on Matiangi than I actually wanted to. But like I say, the whole point is this: that whole homecoming thing, there were people paid to come to that Shabana stadium. Like I've said, Matiangi is, the people of Gusii, whatever Abagusi, of course, the people who came there didn't get paid. But I ask you, like I raised the question, what was the reason for some people to spend the night at Shabana Stadium? Matiangi has been home for I don't know how long. Why didn't he have the same reception? But anyway, enough of Matiangi. Matiangi is nothing but part of the problem in Kenya. He should actually be in jail for refusing to obey court orders. So let's leave Matiangi alone. That's a clown, okay? That's a dictator in the making. Now, let's move on to what happened in Migori. I'm not talking about the Mashujaa people who hit Ruto with an Enio, but there's interesting development. What I want to mention now, real quick, is the whole incident when Gladys Wanga had the microphone, and boy, oh boy, she was buzzing out. She was buzzing out. Okay? She lost her marbles. First of all, one thing that caught my attention with Gladys Wanga is when she came out and said, we did not sign up in this broad-based government for us to be shot, referring to the death of Ongondo Were, whatever his name is, Charles Were. Okay, rest in peace. Now, Charles Were is an interesting individual. There's some people who are saying that, you know, he was involved in some crazy stuff. He was killing people, his opponents, and any youth that kind of talked smack about him. And there's also a lady who got lost. Her name was Dottie, who apparently he promised she will give a job in Meru somewhere. I don't know where. Then Dottie disappeared, never to be found again. So some people are saying, you know, this is karma for all the stuff that he has been doing. So they don't care, okay? But what really caught my eye, like I said, coming back to Gladys Wanga, I've been saying this on my previous videos so that I don't keep you guys here for long, and I can't stay here for long because I got stuff to do. But anyway, what's really interesting for me with Gladys Wanga, I've always maintained that this Orengo versus Raila political position within ODM, the crack that is the proverbial crack that we are being told is happening within the ODM, is an interesting one. But what I've said and maintained is that this crack is made by design. It's by design. This is Raila's plan to keep Ruto on his toes, invested in this broad-based arrangement. Let me tell you, I can guarantee you and I can bet my house that Ruto is not happy about this broad-based government. Ruto was brought into this broad-based government by Raila out of necessity for his own survival. The same trick Raila Odinga used against Uhuru Kenyatta. Remember, Uhuru Kenyatta in 2017 lost the elections and lacked legitimacy when he tried, you know, when he just declared himself president in 2017 in the re-election, okay? He just declared himself and said, hey, I'm the president. And people went to the streets and there was no peace. And remember, that you know the story, okay? And Raila Odinga, after, you know, using his followers to cause chaos, the country was ungovernable. So Ruto had no choice but to come to, Uhuru had no choice but to come to the table and, you know, beg Raila for a handshake so that, you know, Raila apate pesa yake na apate red carpet na gari, then things were cool, okay? The same thing script Raila uses, okay? Like I told you, Raila has the network within Kenya to actually make things happen. So Ruto the same way, lost legitimacy with people, lost Mount Kenya, nobody likes him, even in Nyanza, outside Nyanza, whatever. He has no legitimacy. The kids are going around, the Gen Zs are threatening to take him out. The military say they almost took over. So Ruto needs Raila Odinga. That's why he's there. But Raila Odinga, in order to get what he wants, even within this broad-based government, he has to have his party ODM divided. It is not by a coincidence. It's not a real political or philosophical or ideological difference. When you hear Orengo saying one thing and Raila Odinga and the others and the Kalumas are saying the other thing. These people are not. Let me tell you why they're doing this. This is a signal to Ruto. This is a signal to who? To Ruto that, listen, Ruto, we are in this broad-based government. I'm sticking up for you. Me as Raila Odinga, I'm sticking up for you. But my top dogs, my lieutenants in this ODM, if it wasn't for me stopping them, they can go ahead and get out of this broad-based government and leave you here naked. I'll repeat again, because you're not getting it. Just for the people at the back. For the people at the back, listen to me. Listen to me very carefully. The reason why Raila Odinga and Orengo are having this difference, you hear Orengo saying, Gen Z didn't die for nothing. We didn't go to this broad-based to disrespect the death of the people who died in Gen Z. They are not being paid or whatever the case is. There's a reason for that. For the people on back, are you listening? Hear me out. It is done so to keep Ruto tethered. Ruto ameshikwa kwa makende. Excuse my French. Raila has captured Ruto at on the balls. He's reminding Ruto that, Ruto, I'm sticking up for you, but you have to understand that even though we are in this broad-based government, majority, my top dogs, my attack dogs, my lieutenants in this Ninio, they can leave at any time, and that will result to you getting removed from that office. So you better do what I say. Nikitaka Makao Mutua to be sijui constitutional advisor, so be it. You cannot say no, because if you say no, I'll let these attack dogs to get you. Now utatolewa kwa hii kiti. Because remember, I'm the one who saved you from Gen Z. So that is why Raila maintains this fake Ninio with Orengo. Orengo can listen. Anyone in ODM is a cult. Actually, it's a criminal organization, but it's also a cult. No one can take a position that opposes Raila's official position. Raila's official position is what? We are in broad-based government with Ruto. And anything we say, we are going to support the government. So if anyone comes out and says something contrary to that, you will be removed. But Raila came out and defended Orengo. Why? Because he's using Orengo's rhetoric as a reminder to Ruto that, listen, Ruto, I'm holding you. Mimi ndio nimekushikilia. And I can leave this at any time. So everything I ask for, you have to give me. Nikisema nataka mninio. Nataka Juneta kwa CS of defense. You have to give him. You have to give him that. Or else nitawachilia hawa watu waendelee. Wakina Orengo waende wakutoe. Because Orengo, we are not with you. They want Gen Z. Wanaweza kushikana na Munyoro kesho. You see what I'm saying? So Gladys Wanga is part of it. Gladys Wanga came out and said, you heard what she said. We did not join this what? Broad-based government to do what? So that we can get killed after Were's death. Why did Gladys Wanga say that? Because she was pissed off Were was killed? Right? So, you know, that statement alone, it insinuates, or it's another way of her saying that Ruto's government is responsible for Were's death. That statement by Wanga basically says, Ruto, your government is responsible for Were's death. Granted, Were had said something, in fact, he called Ruto Umbwa some months ago. Who killed him? Personally, I don't know. It could be Ruto, I don't know. It could be Raila, I don't know. It could be his competitors in Kasipul, because I heard siasa huko ni kama siasa ya Wakalasinga. Hot. Right? So we don't know. Okay? But what could be also another reason number two, Raila and ODM have smelled the coffee. And this might be an exit strategy. This might be what? An exit strategy by the ODM, led by Gladys Wanga and others, using this guy's death. Because listen to me carefully. Why would Wanga implied that the government were behind this, saying that we did not join this broad-based government so we can be killed. Remember, Were had survived 2 assassination attempts on his life. In fact, from my understanding, these assassination attempts were even before the broad-based government. Why didn't Wanga, say that the government is targeting them? Why didn't she say that then? Right? You understand what I'm saying? The point I'm making is this. Wanga is using the death of Were, Charles Ngodo Were, using his death to begin implementing this exit strategy. Exit from what? Exit of this ODM, UDA broad-based government. Wameanza. Now, according to Robert Alai, Uhuru is in Dubai with Raila Odinga. According to the ex-Mungiki pastor, I forgot his name. He has a channel actually in YouTube. I forgot his name. He's an ex-Mungiki guy. He always gives an insight on what's happening. He says, I forgot his name. He's pastor something. He's a pastor now, but he's an ex-Mungiki. I'm not talking about the Maina Jenga. No, not Maina Jenga. There's another guy. I forgot his name. He said that all these troubles that are surrounding Ruto are orchestrated and paid for courtesy of Uhuru Kenyatta. Remember I told you guys, Uhuru Kenyatta has great influence in Kenya. In fact, the Kenyatta family are the most powerful family in Kenya. You all know that. Why? Because they have the blessing of the British monarch. The British monarch that actually own Kenya. The corporation that is called Kenya. Okay? And the Kenyattas are their emissary, their prefects, who are to watch over this corporation called Kenya. They can loot, they can kill, they can do whatever they want in Kenya. They own the most resources, land, whatever, businesses, and no one can stop them because they are working on behalf of the British. Of course, the Kenyattas are not the only one, but they're the most powerful of all. Raila is a con man, works also for them. The Kalonzos and the rest are just, useful idiots like the likes of Martha Karua, who do the bidding. If you really listen, if you look at all these political players, they basically bow down to the Kenyatta family. All of them. All of them. All of them. Wamunyoro, Ruto, Raila, Martha Karua, all of them bow down to the Kenyatta family. I'm telling you, every time shit gets left, Mama Ngina akishow up na aonge, these people have to listen. Why? Because they understand the hierarchy of power in Kenya. Ruto dared to defy that order, even though Ruto is also a puppet of the West. But Ruto is running rogue and dared to challenge the Kenyattas. And that's why he's finding himself in this kind of trouble. That's why he ran to co-opt Raila. But if it's true that Raila is going to talk to Kenyatta in Dubai, and we see Gladys Wanga already telling us that they did not join this UDA arrangement, broad-based arrangement, in order to be killed, while we know this former, now deceased Kasipul MP, Charles Ngodo Were, was targeted, had been targeted way before this broad-based government happened. But Gladys Wanga wants to put that on Ruto. Okay? This is a sign that Ruto anataka kutolewa. And the plan is being concocted, financed, plotted, and probably implemented by the Kenyatas on behalf of the British monarch. Isn't it a coincidence? The World Bank, you know how I started? I started by telling you, giving you an example of that ex-CIA guy called John Perkins, who had a wonderful book written, The Confessions of an Economic Hitman. He was working for who? World Bank. Fred Matiangi was working for who? World Bank. And what does World Bank do? World Bank is an institution that works on the behalf of multinational corporations to usurp the sovereignty of emerging economies. They subjugate them economically, militarily, by offering them these loans that they know they cannot repay. In exchange, they extract their minerals, control every aspect of their economy, including their military capabilities. That's the new neo-colonial rule. And World Bank is at the forefront of that. And again, who worked for World Bank? Fred Matiangi. And guess what Fred Matiangi wants to do? Become the president of Kenya. So who do you think Fred Matiangi is working for? For your interests? Connect the dots? I was connecting the dots for you, so you can see it. Can you see it now? And I won't be surprised if Fred Matiangi wins at this point. I know Nani anataka kuiba, and he will probably ataiba. Na tutaenda vita. Vita lazima ikue. Kuna broad base ingine inakuja, and Matiangi will be part of it. It's coming. This is what they're planning. Yeah. Kenyans, you have to see these things, man. Mpaka muangalie hizi vitu vizuri. Yeah? Unaona vile nani? Listen, the gullible are watu wameanza kusifu Matiangi. Idiots. Matiangi. Okay. Okango. Yeah? Sasa yeye ndio answer. I told you. The exit strategy saizi for ODM is to leave Ruto naked. Kwa sababu nimewaambia Gladys Wanga anaanza pointing a finger at the government for being responsible for Were's death. Na mimi nawaambia hivi, kwa nini anasema leo lakini huyu jamaa alikuwa anakuwa targeted even before the broad base. Lakini yeye anatuambia ati hatukuingia kwa hii serikali ndio tukwae targeted tuuliwe. Lakini huyu jamaa alikuwa anataka kuuliwa before even this broad base. So why is she blaming the government? Ni kwa sababu ndio nakwambia. Ndio maana unaona Orengo anapiga makelele na Raila anamtetea, anasema Orengo pia he has his own point. And like I told you, ODM is a cult. No one wakina Sifuna cannot say what they're saying without Raila knowing. Angeshawafukuza. Orengo angeshafukuzwa. Mnasikia? It's been 1 hour, guys. What else did I want to talk about that I forgot? Yeah? Kaini chonjo. Tunachezwa. Now the solution, because it will be silly for me to talk to you for 1 hour without offering solution. I've also said it here many times. You will not change Kenya through the ballot, because the political class have total control of the ballot. All the electoral process and the laws therein that has anything to do with elections, they are controlling it. Walisha change law, IBC amendment bill ndio hiyo imekuwa law. It favors them. The selection panel ndio hiyo ambao wanaenda kuchagua ninio IBC chairman ni watu wao. Hiyo teknolojia ambayo inaenda kutumiwa huko, political class. So whether it's Matiangi or Ruto, it will be hakuna difference. So it is the people, the sovereign people of Kenya, to stand up. Waende State House waseme, we the sovereign people of Kenya, hereby declare that we will represent ourselves directly. And we have declared that Ruto is no longer, Ruto along with the whole executive branch of power are no longer the heads of the state of the Republic of Kenya. The National Assembly and the Senate, the legislative body also, are no longer representing the people, the sovereign people of Kenya, because they have proven beyond reasonable doubt that they do not have the interest of the Kenyan people at heart. So we the people shall choose and pick and elect our own new representative, who will adhere to the 2010 Constitution as it was intended. Maskia, the people have to stand up. There's no democracy. Wacha kusikia watu wanawaambia ati sijui mwende mkachukue kura, sijui mkachukue kura mtavote. Acheni ujinga. And by the way, before I finish, there's this so-called stupidity nasikianga watu wakisema in other, in other channels and other news focus, news channels, whatever, talking, whatever, whether it's NTV, KTN. They always say that, this youth, they never vote. Ati they never vote. Ati wanasemanga, but the voting is ninio. Like people always play this nonsense ati, people in the Western Kenya never vote. People of Nyanza never vote. It's a lie. It's a lie. Votes za Western Kenya, whether it's Nyanza or Western Kenya, huwa inakuwa inapunguzwa. Historically, upunguzwa. Lakini, nyinyi mfikiri, you don't even certify, but they want to use the narrative that the people of Western Ninio, ikifika siku election, wanapewanga pesa waende wakakunywe pombe so that they don't vote. It's the biggest lie. That's why they always lie to you at the only way you can become president is when you get the Mount Kenyan votes. Lie. 2007, Kibaki lost without Mount Kenyan vote. Sorry, with the Mount Kenya votes. Ali lose. Uhuru Kenyatta sin lost with na alipata hiyo Mount Kenya vote na Rift Valley vote. Sinali lose. These are narratives that we have to debunk. But what I'm trying to say to you, most importantly, is that 2027, whether hata mchukue kura, hata muende mkachukue voting sijui nini, mregister kuvote bilioni 6, hamtatoa Ruto na hamtamtoa. Not because I'm defending that murderous tag. Hamtamtoa kwa sababu the system has already been rigged. Na hata Matiangi akikuwa president, hamtaenda mahali. Mtabaki pale hapo mpaka mjitetee wenyewe. I leave you with that. My name is Kenya Revolutionary. Like, share, subscribe, comment, put the notification on. I'll see you next time. Peace and blessing. Viva. The struggle continues.